All right.
We're live.
We're live.
Hi, everybody. It's Torn Saturday. Tuesday. We'll be back to Tuesday next week, of course, but we're having a special Torn Saturday to talk about Middle-earth March Madness. And your usual host, Cliff, was around, but I think he just vanished. So I'm just kicking us off.
Put the ring on again.
For at least one of us, it's Torn Sunday.
Well, it is actually, although I feel like it's Saturday because I haven't been to bed yet, so it still feels like Saturday, so that's okay. And I'm just changing my name on the screen now. I'm Green Dragon, also known as Kirsten, and I'll let the other folks who are joining us tonight introduce themselves.
I'll go first since I'm A for Anne. I'm Anne Giffords. I'm also known as Ent Maiden on the old message boards, and very excited to be here.
And I'll go next, I guess, alphabetically. I am next. Kathy, on the boards and on Torn, I'm Garfey Mao. I'm one of the LA staff, along with Cliff, who just got here. So Cliff, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, hello, everybody. Hi, sorry. DoorDash always comes at the last second when you're trying to do a live show and here's people at the door delivering things. So, hi, welcome to Los Angeles Torn Tuesday Corner. This is our little corner of the OneRing.net. And along with Justin helping out, we have some great people here in Southern California who help us do local events and some great things. And it's kind of exciting to be here for on a different day of the week to live stream and share all this fun with all of you. So, hello, I'm Clifford. How you doing?
And we're looking forward to hopefully actually having the Bilbo Baggins birthday bash live this year. I mean, September.
It better.
Fingers crossed.
It better happen. Well, that's the huge public picnic where hundreds of people come to Griffith Park, right up there in the beautiful hills, right above the LA Zoo, above the whole city. And we can have this very Shire-like experience where people have a potluck and bring food and musical instruments and lots of costumes. There's always amazing costumes. And so we're right in time for that vibration. Let's talk costumes today, shall we?
All right.
We should, but we have one. Well, first of all, we've had various people saying hi. Hi, Tammy. Hi, Fernando. I saw an Ola before, and I saw a hi from Kiev, which was very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So hi. It's so exciting that you're all joining us tonight. And we have one member of our chat who hasn't introduced himself yet. So, Jim.
Yeah, I'm Jim. I'm actually the East Coast representative on the call. So Mad-Eye Gamgee in the One Ring staff world. And probably one of the staffers that's most connected to Dragon Con, which we are also hoping happens in September. We'll see what version we will do this year. Good to be with you all.
So we have just completed the second round of Middle-earth March Madness for 2021. As you already know, and as you can see on your screen, it is the battle of the best dressed this year. So it's costumes, and we're encouraging folks to share pictures of their cosplays with us as the competition goes on, so that you can, as it were, campaign for a character by saying, I think the Balrog should win, and here's my amazing Balrog costume. Nicole, cough. That's the one that I see up there on the screen. So what we're doing tonight is we're revealing to you the winners from round 2, and then if we have time, we'll also take a look at the matchups that we can expect in round 3, the Sweet 16 round. And when the live show finishes tonight, we will then launch the survey on the homepage of the OneRing.net, where you can go and vote for the Sweet 16 round.
Awesome.
Right. So what we'll do, you probably can't see that on your screens, but we have 4 different regions that we've broken all of our contestants into: humans and Maiars, villains, hobbits, dwarves, and one wild card other human in Bard the Bowman, who played his way in after beating Alfred in drag, much to many's relief. And then our elven contingent, is the fourth region. So what we'll do is just go region by region and invite comments, starting with the Human and Maiar region, with a quick review of how we got into round 2, which is what we've been voting on and wrapped up voting on those tonight. So this was the seedings in that round, and we saw Saruman the White go against Theoden in his Meducel dress, and Theoden was the winner of that in round 1 with 61% of the votes. Gandalf the White fell to Éomer with 52%.
Because of the helmet, of course.
Probably because of the helmet.
Because of Carl Urban fans, maybe.
Well, yeah, that too.
So this was our first round 2 matchup in the Human and Maiar region. So feel free, folks, if you want to comment. I'm just going to run through various more. We have a few more close-ups.
I think those family pairings are always tough. I mean, uncle and nephew, that's got to be tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and royal garb versus armor, and because they're all so spectacularly layered, and the intricate work in both the leather work as well as the stitching on the royal tunics and cloaks. So it's these are very detailed, amazing costumes that looks like they really are from a culture that would be riding horses across the plains.
It's very interesting to me that quite a number of the coronation robes did well in the first round. That it seems like people really do like the sort of party clothes, as it were, of the Middle-earth folks, where they're really ornate and decorated.
Mm-hmm.
There's some great cosplays here. Look at that.
Oh, look at that Durnhelm. Wow.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that I love about doing this, is because it really does give us a chance to focus on the artistry of the people that develop these costumes. We all know many of the stories about how even the inner workings of the costumes, were decorative or had something that was meaningful. And, it just really gives us a chance to focus on that. So we certainly do get the Éomer fans, but boy, I have to say that costume is just so well done. And just like Kathy said, it really tells you a story about the culture.
So do we think Theoden or Éomer won in this one?
Oh, golly.
Boy, that's tough.
I'm going to guess.
A lot of people are banking on Theoden and his armor to win. So I'm going to guess that Éomer is going to take this round.
From a costume point of view, it's incredibly well done. Éomer's. It's not that Theoden's isn't, but just wow with Éomer.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think the momentum will probably continue with our 8th seeded costume with Éomer.
Ready for the reveal?
Let's see.
It was, in fact, he is the winner.
That leather work is just spectacular. I mean,
oh yeah, and the layers. Yeah, you're right. The layers on this, everything about it is stunning.
And overall, how they embedded Rohan and the horse theme throughout everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, for my Durnhelm costume, I got a hold of a helmet that was just like this, but was empty, and I painted on it the same sunburst, and then he's got the Celtic styling of horses on the cheek covers. So I painted those on mine, because I figured, hey, Éowyn's going to look a little like her brother, right? Of course, she ended up with a completely different helmet, but yeah, I actually put that design straight on my helmet.
I see Dave in the chat mentioning the poor folks at Weta who wore their fingerprints off from making all the chainmail.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those costumes are an epic undertaking. All of that chainmail, all of that leatherwork, just unbelievable.
I think that's a trivia question somewhere. How many chainmail links did Weta create?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it's a multiple choice question.
1 million. That's right.
It's like, how many links are there in just one hauberk?
I know.
All right.
We're not doing a collective impressions show, but if we were, this is one of the most spectacular things that Weta has put out. They've got Éomer on Firefoot, I think is his horse's name. Or is that Theoden? I forget. But it's a spectacular piece. Well worth looking for.
Yeah.
All right. This was our first round matchup. 5 against 12. Eowyn in her coronation gown and Gandalf the Grey. And Eowyn was the winner that came out of that first round it was a pretty tight race, 51%.
And you can see it hanging on my door back here over my left shoulder.
And you're going to see more of that in a minute. Because and then Alen was also in the second pairing in this part of the bracket, going up against Boromir in his classic Fellowship outfit, and Boromir was the winner with 55% of the vote in round one there, which set up this matchup.
Ooh,
Boromir versus Eowyn's coronation. So what do you think about that? Who's coming out of that one?
You know, one thing I just noticed about Eowyn, the inner sleeves, it looks like a yellow velvet, which is just so lovely with that pattern fabric.
And yes, and then there's another layer. There's an underdress of what looks like metallic mesh.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody recognize her?
Who's that amazing woman in the gold dress?
Yeah, it's right over there.
Such a beautiful dress.
And I went to a lot of, I mean, you can see I went and I got the little flower with the little blue stone in the middle to put on the crown and on the necklace, and I put it on the belt.
Who's that next to you, Kathy?
Oh, that would be the kick butt Miranda Otto, who really, really did a great job embodying Eowyn in the film.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a tricky one again, because again, it's that thing of the sort of glad rags, the finery going up against the leatherwork, the utilitarian outfit, the sort of ranging outfit that, you know, out in the wilderness.
A Gondorian feel to it, because, you know, it's got the white tree motif, even in the little buckles on the his tunic.
Oh, I see Jamie Gregg is saying hi. How are we all? Hi, Jamie. Thanks for joining us tonight. So I find it really hard to just find the sort of velvet and silk and glamorous costumes are so different from the leather and chainmail costumes that I find it really hard to compare and contrast in these kind of matchups.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I had said when we talked about this earlier this week is I kind of look at, because I'm not a cosplayer. I don't know how to sew. I look at what picture tells me the best story. You know, what costume tells me the best story. So, you know, like in this one, you know, Boromir, there's so much about Gondor, you know, in him. I'm not diminishing that Eowyn has a lot about Rohan, but there is just so much about Gondor. You know, the history of that horn, you know, just all right there.
Well, and the van braces, which then
become Aragorn's.
Aragorn, it's his way of honoring him, as well as the heritage that you know, as a son of Gondor.
Excellent point.
A picture that was recounting at Aragorn's funeral, he was still wearing those van braces, apparently. It's like he never, I guess he showered in them or something.
There's some question about how often Aragorn's showered, but yes.
Exactly. So Arn is asking in the chat, Kathy, is that a picture of you with Miranda Otto?
Yes, that is.
It's a great picture. It's lovely. All right, so who do we think? Who are we voting for here? Who do we think came out on top? The 4th seed and the 5th seed is good.
I know who I want to come out of this.
Yeah, this is a great.
This is a tough one.
Yeah,
like Kirsten said, they're completely different. They're amazing in their own ways, but just completely different.
In terms of components.
I'm just thinking, as Kirsten said, one is, you know, formal dress gown, and the other is, you know, he lived in that outfit for 100 days. So travel gear.
Just to get to Rivendell.
Exactly.
And then it was another couple of weeks, or months, to head down the Anduin.
So I mean,
Jamie in the chat thinks that Eowyn will have won easily. That's what his money's on. He reckons and will have won this round. I can't comment because I've already seen the results. So
I haven't seen the results, but so I guess I would go with Boromir because there's so much history in what he's wearing. All the different component pieces.
I agree.
I spent 11 months researching and building Eowyn, so I'm going to go for Eowyn.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
And Kirsten already told me who won because I had to prepare the slides. So
yeah, so I don't know who won.
So our winner going into round 3 then is Boromir.
There you go.
There you go.
I always think his sort of overshirt that he has over his chain mail that you can just see the upper sleeve there. It reminds me of sari material.
It does, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's for the people who've cosplayed it. I think that's where they got it. Like we have a little India here in Orange County, or actually at the border of Orange County and LA, and that's where I'd go looking for this material. Plus, that's trim. I mean, so you can get the trim on the bottom of the sleeve. That would be something you could get separately.
Mm.
To your layering point, Kathy, you can really see all the layers here.
Yeah.
Starting with his elven cloak and the over vest and the shirt and the chain mail and his van braces.
And I swear it looks like there's 2 van braces there, doesn't it? I mean, there's the one that's got the tree on it, but then there's another brown layer underneath.
Yeah.
Now, whether they're stuck together or whether it's 2 layers, I don't know. But because obviously he's also got gloves on, which, on the bottom half is all, so he's got lots of layers just around his wrists, which is a good thing. If you're going to be fighting with a sword, you'd like to think your wrists and everything like that and your lower arm was protected.
There you go.
All right, let's see the next.
Yeah. Round 1, we had Faramir in his coronation garb, along with, I guess this was going to be one of our other favorites, Theoden in his battle armor.
Boy,
Theoden was the winner out of that matchup, with 53% of the vote.
And I kind of wish I'd taken more detailed pictures of his armor.
Yeah. And then we had, we've got a few more detailed ones coming up. And then we had Alen Durnheim, a clear fan favorite, up against Aragorn in his coronation. With lots of detail there. And the winner out of that one was Aragorn with 70%.
Which makes no sense to me because it's a character that basically just gets crowned and then he's done.
Costuming.
She kills, she goes off to battle, she fights Olafons and she kills the Witch King and all that stuff.
It's not about the character, though, Kathy. It's not about the character.
I know. Just you see the costume much longer.
and as folks had pointed out, Eowyn is wearing just kind of basic Rohan soldier armor because she's trying to blend.
Right, contrasted with what Eomer had on, and her uncle there.
Versus Theoden has, the full works. So, and then we can see a few more pictures of the detail of that Theoden armor here.
Wow.
Here. So
that's amazing.
Pretty spectacular set.
Yep.
And then a few more details of the Aragorn as well.
Wow.
With Faramir and Arwen behind him.
That's right.
That's what happens when you have a display at a convention that's got a very tight space.
And then some cosplay.
That's great. That's a great cosplay.
Great.
Hey.
That's about all I've got there. So any thoughts on who's coming out? All
right. So we're now
Battle of the Armor
and Aragorn at his coronation. That's what we're considering now.
Yep.
This is the King's battle, right?
That's right.
Yeah, it's definitely the King's battle. And I do love the breastplate on Aragorn, and of course the LSR, with the winged, but Theoden's is just so spectacular.
I know.
And after having seen his character transition from the old man on the dais that was befuddled by Saruman, to see him go from that to a king leading his army into battle, and the armor and to sort of reclaim the glory of Rohan. was spectacular.
And
You know, go ahead, Kirsten. Sorry.
Dominique Miller in the chat is commenting that the cosplays are really inspiring. The people are so talented. It's true. It is my favorite thing. I love looking at the costumes from the movies. I love looking at the details, but I really love seeing other people's versions of them that they've made at home, in their garage, in their spare time. Just absolutely brilliant.
Well, and kind of like Kathy, they spend months researching it, and they work so hard on every detail. It is amazing. I love watching it, even though it's not something I have the skill for, but I love it.
So these cosplayers are kind of going for a screen accurate look. We're going to see later on some cosplayers are going for their own personal styles.
Well, and as we know, they adjusted the color on the thing, because I made the Eowyn's blue dress, the one where she's holding the cup and she gives, it's called the victory dress. And everyone who's ever made it has made it as a blue dress. When I got the costume card, when they had the various cards from the series, and they had a little swatch of the fabric, it's called the light mint green dress.
Of course.
So they color coded the heck out of that dress so that everyone thinks it's blue and it's actually mint green.
So if we look at these two as a costume, Theoden's is again amazing. So much depth to that costume. There's so much going on, and Aragorn's is spectacular, but it kind of is a coronation outfit. Other than the white tree, you don't see much of the history of Gondor in there.
Yeah,
I think Theoden's is more interesting. Of these two, I find his costume the more interesting, with the different kind of scales of armor and then the layers of the leather.
Well, and because obviously Aragorn didn't wear this to the Black Gate.
True.
He probably could have, but he didn't. He wore something more functional. You're right. This is a coronation. This is a ceremonial outfit.
Right.
Whereas Theoden's is a useful in battle outfit.
Yeah,
I'm in agreement that Theoden, the contrast, I think the greater visual interest with the layers and the contrast are what would make me vote for Theoden in this one.
Now, Maria Hernandez in the chat has commented that Aragorn looks better when he's dirty. That's an interesting comment. Remember that comment for something that will come later.
Okay. All right.
So here's the reveal. So I think the mood on our panel was leaning toward Theoden, the entire seed.
Yep, let's see what happened.
However,
ooh,
all right,
prevailed.
So number 11 beat number 3. Good for him.
All right.
And in this picture, you can see a few more of the layers that are going on.
Yeah, the pauldrons are great.
Yeah, absolutely, it is an amazing costume, and both of these cultures, Rohan and Gondor, have so much history, and it's really, they bring that into every single thing that they're wearing. So we know that this is Gondor and this is Rohan.
Excellent.
It's beautiful.
And that's all what the detail they went into, to whether it was set dressing or people dressing, was just amazing when it came to delineating what designs went with what cultures.
I do have to say, I have to give a lot of credit to Tolkien himself, who defined these cultures so well.
Right.
Yes.
Indeed. But I look at this costume, I look at Aragorn's costume, and I immediately think of Tolkien's words, 7 stones and 7 stars and 1 white tree.
Agree.
Immediately what I think.
You can also see the seabird elements, which were at the founding of Numenor and Elwing and the Silmaril, and they're all woven into that culture, and you can see them show up in the van braces as well as
the Ring of Barrow here.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of history in this costume.
Yeah, Jim. Yeah.
I'm just loving his red roll neck. That's not loving the red roll neck.
Well, in the sleeve, so it looks like that's kind of the under.
Well, the reason why he's doing that is because that's metal armor right up to his neck, and if he weren't wearing cloth.
Totally aware that it's a beautiful velvet undershirt that is appropriate. I was just making a joke about the red roll.
You like it?
Turtlenecks on kings. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it.
There you go, Kirsten. I love it too.
The next matchup.
Oh.
Are we ready? So round one saw sort of Shield Maiden Alen against Faramir in his Ithilien garb, and Faramir came out of that again. It was a very tight race between the future.
That's a squeaker.
In round one. And then against them in the last matchup in round one in the human bracket was Beorn, an underserved character in the Hobbit movies.
Yes.
And Dirty Aragorn.
Dirty Aragorn.
And there's Strider. Who we just call him Strider.
Strider.
Or Longshanks.
That's right. And Longshanks came out of that just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. But
That picture in the movie was iconic.
Yeah. So that set up the king and his steward.
Mm-hmm.
And two rangers.
Yeah.
Two
Stewart
rangers.
and the king.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, if I'm not mistaken, I remember that Strider is the name that Aragorn uses when he introduces himself to Éomer in the book. He actually introduces himself by the name Strider at first. When there's all that, brittle, bristling talk between Gimli and Éomer, and it's intriguing.
Well, in the movie, he introduces himself as Aragorn, but in the book, maybe he does.
No, he definitely. I just read it today. Actually, he introduces himself as Strider. But what's funny, that ranger costume, between one representing the Northern Kingdom and the other one, the Ithilien ranger garb representing the Southern Kingdom. This is where we look for these distinctions in costuming and where that storytelling lies within the costume itself.
Yeah, because this is darker greens. It looks black, but it's layers of greens, of deep greens on Aragorn, and of course it's lighter greens on Faramir and browns.
We look to see that Faramir's is quite clearly a uniform, that he has an affiliation, if you like, that he's in a particular role. He has a particular role that he has to play, and his ranger outfit is definitely a uniform. Whereas Aragorn's feels much more cobbled together from different pieces that are just what is sort of handy and comfortable for him. He doesn't really, until he adds Boromir's vambraces at the end of Fellowship, he doesn't really have any clear sort of affiliation marked on his race outfit.
Right. Well, Aragorn, I think I had said this before. This is his feel fair, looks foul costume.
I love it.
Yeah, I think I would therefore go with Faramir out of these two costumes. I like the detailing and the kind of obvious uniform quality of that Faramir costume.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whereas Aragorn's is sort of the signature piece. It's basically for almost two movies, that's how you identified him, was that silhouette. So when it comes to iconic, it's just simply iconic because it's the hero costume. Anyone puts together the right color scheme and they're Aragorn. It just,
it's clearly very tattered, and it's something he's just, kind of pulled together of pieces, and it's, worn out, it's ragged, which in itself as a costume is art, to get that to look so casual,
yes,
and so roughed up.
To the point that the actor doesn't have to worry if they spill coffee on it.
Yeah, but it's just like look how comfortable his boots are. Those are his boots. They fit him. I love that, but I kind of agree that Faramir's costume, from a costuming point of view, again, I go with what tells me a story. That tells me a story about there's stuff in there that I'd like to know more about. Whereas with Aragorn, it looks like he's been, on the road for years, decades.
But
he looks like he smells.
There's story behind that too.
Yeah,
there is, absolutely. I just want to know, which story do I want to know more? Yeah. I want to know more for me, and this is just me. I want to know Faramir's story.
The interesting thing, if you go into the introduction of Aragorn's character, is that folks look at him, literally his appearance, and it's distrust. The folks at the Prancing Pony distrust him. The hobbits distrust him.
Oh yeah,
and so
they know very little about him.
Owlish look about him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
All right, we need to hurry this up a bit because we're still in the first quarter of our.
so here's the winner.
There we go.
Of course, there was sort of like no way around that one.
There you go. So
So
Aragorn
this
is the winner.
means that in the next round,
So here's round
dirty
3.
Aragorn will be up against clean Aragorn because if you remember the incarnation, so in the next round,
Okay, now that's epic.
you have to decide whether you like your Aragorn dirty or freshly shampooed.
There you go.
Excellent.
With the
Excellent.
Lothlorien hair care products. Wow. The
Yeah.
sons of, the princes.
Boromir and Éomer,
Wow.
Aragorn and Aragorn are the final 4 in the Human and Maiar region.
Wow.
Any predictions?
Oh my goodness. No.
Okay, I'm gonna predict that Strider beats Aragorn Royal. I just that character, the Strider character, is so beloved because once he becomes LSR, he's kind of removed, but everyone loves Strider. You know, the hobbits know him as Strider. The elves may know him as otherwise, but the hobbits know him as Strider, and so Strider's probably going to take it.
Yep.
We'll see. I actually would like to get Meryl Streep in here to make this Sophie's choice.
Yeah.
I just don't want to myself. I don't want to do it myself.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to vote for.
I've seen so many cosplays of both of these costumes. That it's yeah, you're right. It's really hard to guess. I personally prefer Elmer's, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if Boromir makes it out.
Yep, because these are tough matchups.
We'll see. You'll be able to vote from when we finish this live show. We'll put it up on the webpage and you can vote. Now, let's see.
Yes, hello, fans. We're going to lay this awful choice at your feet. No. Yeah, we're going to let you pick.
All right, and we're heading to the next round, or the next.
All right. I just sequenced it with Hobbits and Dwarves.
Okay.
And so just to review, first of all, I had to show this picture.
Oh, that's amazing.
2014. Where we assembled all the dwarves, or as many as we could get.
The Rain Sisters are there.
Adam Brown and
That's
Jed
there.
Broker. So yeah, this is one of the
That's
reasons
wonderful.
I hated that Dwarf Woman fell out, because you can see some great Dwarf Women costumes in this. Some unbelievable Thorin costumes.
Mm-hmm.
Great stuff.
I see a couple Feelies.
Feelies and Keelies in there, and so it was a great assembly. So,
So good.
Let's dive into the pairings. In round 1, we had Thorin going against Keely, and not surprisingly, Thorin Oakenshield came through with 74% in that matchup. In the opposite bracket, in a tight race, we had Rosie in her wedding dress, a personal sentimental favorite of mine.
Yes, definitely.
Balin the dwarf, or Santa, as some refer to him. And
Father Christmas,
Rosie actually won pretty handily in that region. So that sets up this matchup.
Ooh.
Thorin against Rosie. What do you
Oh my. And the number of Thorins out there in the cosplay world lead me to believe that that's the one that's going to take it. But I do still love my Rosie dress, my sister's Rosie dress, which is also...
There you go. Let's get to those. There's some fans that even recreate pictures.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's amazing that they're doing this. I love it. Yeah, I have seen a very wild preponderance of Thorin costumes at every convention I've ever gone to, and they've been exceptional. So maybe it's best to do as the others do when in Rome.
Yeah.
Well, and I would think it's a huge challenge to do that Thorin costume because there's so much to it. It's not that the Rosie costume isn't difficult, but
that's my Rosie, by the way.
I love that. I love that.
Oh, that's fabulous.
And that is a beautiful. But if I were somebody that was interested in sewing, there's your sister.
That's great.
I would think that the Thorin costume.
I was woken up by a call from the hospital. She's in the ER again today.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Dear.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Well, I think the way things have been going, I feel like people are tending to swing towards the leather and armor and chainmail. So, as lovely as Rosie is, I would expect that Thorin would come out on top in this one.
Mhm.
That seems to be those are the costumes that are drawing people's votes, I think.
Mhm.
I
And
agree
it's
with that.
funny because you do see a lot of just standard Hobbit ladies. You see a lot of cosplay with just, a standard Hobbit lady. The wedding dress, of course, is a lot more of a specific costume with a specific look to it. So if it was just a random Hobbit lady versus a random dwarf, it might be different. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I kind of agree with Green Dragon that I kind of think just given the trends of the voting, Thorne would come out ahead of this.
Well, plus he's also he's a lead character.
And you would be right.
That's right.
There you go.
So Thorin is the winner of that matchup.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next one.
So in round one, we had our wild card Bard against, I think we decided this was Thror,
Mm-hmm.
That is.
the
Thror.
grandfather of Thorin, king under the mountain.
Yes, the one who goes crazy.
And Bard, actually, the wild card came through with 64%.
Wow. Sometimes those play-in guys, come through for you.
Yep.
Who knew?
Right.
I know, like right now, UCLA is playing in the sports ball competition, and they had to play in, and now they're in the Final Four.
Right.
Okay.
And, right now, they've started play. They've just dropped play for the Final Four today.
The other
Wow.
matchup in this round was Gimli in all of his glory against my personal favorite, Sam. And Gimli was the winner of that one.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So that set up this matchup.
Ooh, wow.
Ooh.
Okay, cool.
One dwarf that Bard doesn't meet.
That's right.
Yes, that's right. Wow. Okay. Classic Gimli and the classic structure of dwarven architecture all over his helmet, all over his weapon, all over
Mhm.
everything. It is so about the symmetry. It is so commanding of the eye, especially with this new 4K release. And I've been rewatching The Hobbit with some friends who had never seen The Hobbit, and so I've seen a lot of Mr. Luke Evans in his costumes, in Dale and in Esgaroth. And wow, I still have to say, classic Gimli from 20 years ago will win this one. That's my vote.
I think that Gimli, even
It's
just the helm alone, his helm is so awesome.
Mhm.
And do you remember? I think it was Werther did a series of helms quite a long time ago now that you could buy, and they're all on little stands, and you could buy the little different helms. And but just on that alone, I would vote for Gimli out of this one.
Mm-hmm.
I did like in that cosplay photo that you saw. Yeah, she's got the black arrow. I mean, the movie version of Black Arrow.
Great. Yeah, that's great. I love that.
Kathleen Dolan is a Canadian, and she's a frequent Dragon Con attendant. She cosplays a lot of stuff. You're going to see her again later.
Well, and this has
Awesome.
got to be the Weta booth because you can see not Bolg, but the other one, Azog, the Azog character.
The filer in the background there.
Yeah.
So you say
Wonderful.
the fan favorites and the panel favorite you think is Gimli? You would be correct.
Yep.
So down goes our wild card in Bard. The
And
dwarves.
Jim didn't have the percentages on this, but I can tell you because I was writing the post for the homepage. The Gimli actually took 3/4 of the vote.
Wow.
So he trounced Bard in the second round there.
So it does seem like these armor kind of
Oh yeah.
type costumes tend to be doing really well.
I think I think it's the characters. I think people are still voting for the characters, and most of the ones that we're seeing in armor are also main characters.
Yeah, it might also be that people with a lot of cosplay experience are voting for the most work-intensive type of armor and structured pieces and things. Yeah, maybe.
Yep.
And wearing these things, when you make one of these things, they're not easy to wear.
That is true.
I think Cliff makes an excellent point there that cosplayers are very aware of all the labor that goes into those kind of costumes.
Mm-hmm.
which produces more admiration from me. I'm just like you. I'm so enamored when I see the results of people putting in that creative intensity and focus on something, and the results are grand when they do it.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
So that takes us into the next round. It's interesting because we got another one of these armor, non-armor matchups in round one. I will say Frodo and Sam's outfits were the only attire that was literally like holy by the end of the books. They were set aside as precious mementos to the quest that they had been on. Nevertheless, both Sam and Frodo fell in the first round. So regardless, we have another.
Boy, that armor theme is going.
Mary.
Yeah.
There you go.
Armor.
But I think it's really, to Cliff's point, is they look at, it's a challenge, I would think, for somebody that's, interested in this and, take on those challenging outfits.
Now, if this was true, though, you would figure in this round, Thorin would have come out.
Yeah, you would. You would.
Nope, but Bilbo, there you go.
Bilbo came out.
Bilbo, tricksy Bilbo. Tricksy Bilbo.
So that set up this round 2 battle.
Oof.
Okay.
Wow, what a great contest.
Oh my gosh.
The guy who set off the fireworks and created a joke and set off the fireworks at the party, or the guy who disappeared at the party and played a joke. They both played a joke at the party.
I just love Mary's costume, though. Just so Rohan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bilbo's, though, is so Hobbit. So
again,
Hobbity gentleman.
It goes back to what we've been saying about, when you're voting in basis on costumes, are you drawn for the emotional costume that kind of resonates? Like Bilbo's costume there is so symbolic of so many things, of the Shire and the coziness, and or are you going with the detail and the minutiae and all of that, which I think that you see in Mary's costume there. And given the pattern that we've seen, I would think Mary would be.
I'm going to go with Bilbo's party costume. I mean, I love Mary's, the fact that they found armor to fit him, which I found to be interesting, that they actually found armor to fit him. It's just.
It was interesting. It will come up in another battle, but Pippin's armor was also found to fit him. And if you remember, it was Faramir's armor.
As a child,
Yeah. I love that. Okay,
all right, so let's see who did win.
Let's see who
won. There we go.
Wow.
Back on pattern.
I'll be able to send you some more detailed photos. I got close-up photos of his costume.
We'll weave those in for next round.
Yep.
And then we had Bilbo in a famous bathrobe that someone on this call is actually.
Yeah. I have it right there in the closet.
And Bilbo indeed.
You won. Yes, the dressing gown won. Yes.
Took out Feely, 61% of the vote.
And I saw the other day that somebody had commented on Facebook, if Bilbo's dressing gown doesn't go all the way to Grand Champion, this contest is a sham.
Well,
we had Pippin in his armor, Gondorian armor against.
I'll be right back, guys.
And his iconic hat. And Pippin took that one with 88.
Okay.
Another massive win over both of
Okay.
This contest.
You know what I like about that on the previous picture you showed was it's a little large for him.
Yeah.
I
Loose in the chest.
That's great.
Yeah, boy, this is going to be a battle here. We're going to see if the whole contest is a sham or not, right?
That's
because
true.
Bilbo doesn't win.
I am definitely going to vote for Bilbo's dressing gown. It's a personal favorite of mine when I do that
And they
cosplay.
let him take it home? Did they let him take it?
Yes, they let him actually have it. Yes.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that people might vote for the Pippin, young Faramir costume.
There you go.
Oh gosh, there's me. Oh gosh.
I found you, Claire. We were.
And what's funny is that there's other people who have made it as well.
That's
wonderful.
That was me at the Fox Searchlight premiere of
A Tolkien.
Tolkien film and the West Coast premiere. Yes.
Yeah.
We met up there. It was fun.
I don't want to give anything away because, again, I know the results in here. So I'm not saying whether my expectation was right or wrong, but my expectation in this round was that the dressing gown would win it easily.
I don't. Yeah, boy, this one's tough.
I just
hard to
think
tell.
people love that dressing gown.
I
just think
threw
people
this
love it.
picture because it was so fascinating that two friends apparently did both Merry and Pippin in their armor at a cosplay contest. It was
That's
fantastic.
beautiful.
Oh yeah,
It's wonderful.
the One Ring Circus who performed at our Return of the King party did a whole bunch of fellowship people, and I believe that the Merry and Pippin were in the armor costumes.
I need to give a proper shout out before we reveal the winner, and I know we will in a second. I want to give a shout out to Caroline Knight, the dearest friend of mine who created that costume for me and gave it to me as a gift, because it's only her creativity, not mine, that I would like to credit before we go on.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, so
Okay.
who won?
Who's the big winner?
Who won?
Yeah.
Well, the top seed in this round actually came.
Wow.
Gasp. Okay. Wow.
So the armor theme is kind of rolling along.
Yeah, and that one really surprised me.
I've got detailed photos for you if you want them. Then
Wow, look at this next round.
So here you go. Round 3, final 4 in the dwarves and hobbits.
Oh no, that means Merry and Pippin are going against each other,
We got
doesn't
dwarf
it?
on dwarf and
No
hobbit
way.
on hobbit.
Yep.
No way. This is going to be the craziest contest. This is crazy.
This
This is
Mary.
crazy.
And Thorin is now the only character from the Hobbit movies
Oh.
who is still in.
Oh, I'll be damned.
Only one who's made it through to the Sweet 16.
Okay.
So Tammy in the chat says the contest is rigged. Yes.
I can't believe it.
All right.
You should have
that
a
takes-
Gondorian and a Rohirrim with a fellowship and an elvish cloak on. So
There you go.
all good. You got multiple.
Wow.
coaches.
The villains region.
The villains.
Okay.
All right, let's go see the bad guys.
So here are the bad guys. We had, for some reason, we put Denethor into the villains instead of the humans category. So the one
That was a discussion.
Yeah. We wanted Saruman over there too, but
Denethor did, in fact. I'm really sorry, because otherwise I would have shown you a wonderful Gollum cosplay of a fellow that I met
Wow.
at the New York Tolkien exhibit. It was wonderful. And
Look at that robe he's wearing. Holy cow.
Yeah,
That is pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
Denethor. And then in round 2, Mouth of Sauron versus Wormtongue. Grimly.
Mm.
And Sauron's mouth came through.
That surprised me. That surprised me in the first round. I thought Grima would win that one.
You know, Kirsten, I think I see it as a from a costuming point of view. This is far more intricate. So that's where I saw it.
If you really got intricate, and one of the reasons I picked this photo is you can even see in the helm itself is inscribed in black speech and
Yeah. Wow.
so yeah.
And the fact that he is the mouth and he's got those teeth and you can see his chin is split open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he's just yucky all around.
That put us into this matchup. Mouth of
Okay.
Sauron versus Denethor.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
I had that original Lord of the Rings calendar that New Line Cinema gave us as a promotional item so many, many, many decades ago. So I had a long time to look at John Noble in that costume. I'm far more impressed when I see people do cosplay and they're doing the Mouth of Sauron. That's a much more wild and ambitious endeavor. So I'm going to go for Mouth of Sauron.
There's
I love
Captain
all the
Gummo again.
fabric you need for Denethor, though.
Yeah.
There's just a shit ton of fabric, and that is the technical term.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, just the way, because the way that fur-lined cloak was billowing, yeah, that you're right.
Well, and he had like full length chainmail underneath that. You could see in that original picture.
Plus the tunic. He's got the tunic and then the chainmail over it, and then that coat.
Look at that chainmail, because you can see it down by his feet. Extending the weave, you can see it. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That picture of Denethor reminds me of Theoden when he comes out of his Saruman dream and he's got a long kind of ratty rabbit fur
Mm-hmm.
coat on, but it's the same kind of cut of coat, and it moves very much like that Denethor one with the big sleeves and everything.
Yeah.
Right. Well, this is how you stay warm when you're sitting in a cold, chilled citadel. You know, all by yourself, just surrounded by stone, and it's just got to be cold up there.
So I'm sensing a bit of a split on the panel.
I like Denethor's costume.
I'm still voting for Mouth of Sauron.
Yeah, yeah.
Gosh, it's hard for me to say because, one of them is pretty spectacular and the other one is incredibly complicated. And I love the black speeches written on the pieces of metal for Mouth of Sauron. Wow. I don't know. I can't, honestly, I just voted an hour ago. I can't remember. Wow, I voted on this one.
Well, I'm sure you voted for Mouth of Sauron, the winner.
Oh, I'm sure I did.
There you go.
So he was the winner. Setting up the next race were actually interesting. It was the Southrons versus the Easterlings, the Haradrim. And in that battle, the Haradrim or the Southrons came through.
Which I can see very complex, and they're very different. Whereas the Easterlings are all pretty much one costume.
Yeah, I'm going to show you some pictures here in a minute of them. The other matchup was the Dark Lord Sauron himself against the Balrog.
Mm-hmm.
Which some of us asked, how do you even cosplay a Balrog? And we'll see.
I actually found, aside from Nicole's showgirl dress, I found some other really good Balrog cosplays out there.
So the Balrog came through, pretty tight race, but here you go, which set up the the Haradrim against the Balrog.
And see, the Haradrim seem to use real, like tangible things that they've got what looks like bone and wood, and along with the leathers and stuff like that, and the wicker baskets and things like that. They, you can see a culture in the Haradrim's costumes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what I loved about them.
And lots of different variations of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just beautiful.
And yet, amongst all those variations, they're still very recognizable.
Yep.
And I love the tribal elements, the stones, the fangs, the claws that are woven into these strange pieces. I love all that. That's great. I'm going to go for that.
Well, and that's what's nice about it is it's almost as if they're pre-Iron Age. They're pre-Iron Age.
They are.
Look at these. Oh my gosh, amazing. I know that girl on the left.
The girl on the left wanted to New Zealand with that dress or that outfit.
The Balrog gets my vote because if you're going to cosplay a Balrog, you are beginning on the back foot. You're on a hiding to nothing. How do I even begin? And when you see people who have cosplayed, their creativity is extraordinary.
You're absolutely right, Kirsten.
I know one girl who got articulated wings.
Wow.
And we were at a party with the Weta guys and stuff like that, and she just popped out her wings, and it was just like, oh yeah, she wins.
Balrogs don't have wings, but that's
don't even start. They do.
Kathy, am I not mistaken? But that was a Smaug costume that she was wearing at the luau. Am I not mistaken?
Was it Smaug? You're right. It was.
That's
Smaug.
why she had wings. Yeah,
right. You're right.
That was an amazing, memorable
she had
costume.
These scales on her forehead.
Yes.
You're right.
You're
right.
Okay,
right.
What? Green Dragon might make me change my vote for the absolute intensity of trying to create. So I'm going to change my vote, make it a Balrog. Might win this. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's a great point that you made. There we go.
Hey.
All right.
Expect after the end of this, we're going to see more Balrog costumes at conventions. Because people are probably been thinking, what costume can I make while I have all this spare time and I'm finished learning how to make bread?
Okay.
Next villains round, we're two wraiths against one another.
Yeah, the dead guys.
The Witch King Wraith versus the King of the Dead. We debated whether or not the King of the Dead was a villain or not. At the beginning, he was. Mm-hmm. And the King and the Witch King, Twilight, won that one fairly handily.
Mhm.
Twilight Witch King.
So we don't have to debate about the King of the Dead anymore.
And then we had the Oliphant
Hmm.
versus the mayor of Lake Town,
Stephen Fry.
Stephen Fry, and
Actually, he's the master of Lake Town.
the master of Lake Town.
That's right.
And amazingly, as complicated as the master's outfit was, the Oliphant won.
Wow.
Oh, you know,
In that first round.
Boy, talk about a challenge, cosplaying an Oliphant.
Yeah. So yeah, and I'll show you something here in a minute. So we've got the Oliphant going against Witch King in Twilight.
Okay. Right.
So if you want to cosplay Oliphant, I guess you have to look for these things.
I might have actually voted for the Oliphant.
Wow. Look
Wow.
at that. Amazing. Just amazing.
This was the best I could do with Oliphant cosplay.
So needless to say, there's not too many pictures of Oliphant cosplay, huh?
No.
No.
Wow, look at that.
Oh my goodness.
I was
Wow.
going to say there must be also a scarcity of Witch King in Twilight form, but wow,
Wow.
That's amazing.
that is so amazing. I vote for the Nazgul, the Witch King, to win.
Yeah,
In this
hands
round.
down, I would say. I don't even know how the Oliphant got into our original bracket, to be honest.
Yes, thank you.
I don't either.
I think
Thank
we were
you.
searching for villains and he just, kind of
Really?
snuck in.
But
Well,
that-
that was the one I was hoping would be the play out, but we allowed a vote for play out, and the dwarf women lost to the Oliphant, I guess. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you would be correct. The Witch King
Yes.
Twilight
Witch
is
King.
the winner,
There you go. Hands down.
which then took us to the next round in villains, which was Lurtz
Oh,
against the Nazgul generally.
The standard.
And the Black Riders came through with a
Mhm.
high percentage, beating Lurtz in that round. And
Well,
we
you
had-
know what's so about them is just they're so creepy because there's nothing there.
mhm.
right.
Yeah.
That's what's really, whereas Lurch is all
And
out.
there's such a weird menace. I mean, the fact that the hobbits notice, does that sound like he's sniffing? I mean, that's sort of how they search, is they're sniffing, and you're like,
Ew, that's creepy. Yeah. Eesh.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
Lurtz was still pretty cool costume.
He was pretty cool.
Yeah,
was great.
especially after sitting through 3 movies with a CGI generated Azog, everybody was missing Lurtz at that point.
Yeah.
yeah.
Then we had a particular South run. This one was one of the guys who was the driver of
Mhm.
a war Oliphant, if you will.
Yeah, he's cool.
He's
Amazing.
my favorite. I love him.
Mhm.
So
Well, that-
even though
He met
it's going to be
Edward.
an uphill battle, he's my vote.
That's right, and he got the point. But he did not win this battle because the
Oh,
also
Witch
was-
King, yeah. Which is classic.
There you go.
Such a great costume.
There you go.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So that meant round 2 here went to the Witch King versus one of his lieutenants.
One of
This
his
would be an
minions.
easy guess, I think. I think this is an easy guess. Well, I don't know, just
Mhm.
me, but this is an easy guess.
Yeah, Witch King.
Yeah, I mean, do you want the regular Pokemon or the evolved? So, I
Want the
think
guy with
you-
the pokey stick or the guy with the giant mace?
Exactly.
That's perfect. If that
Well,
is
I
what
think
it
too,
does.
there's so much you can do. I mean, so much challenge to the Witch King with that helm and the mace and everything. Whereas it's they're scary, but
Mhm.
it's a different challenge to put together that costume.
So I
Mhm.
think we
Indeed.
were pretty unanimous on that one then.
Easy.
That would be
Yeah.
an easy win.
Which means he's going up against himself. Twilight version versus
Oh, nice.
Oh.
No, he's going to. Yeah,
So
yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
Here's round 3.
Okay.
Mouth of Sauron against the Balrog. 2 pretty low seeds actually coming out of the villains round, and one of the semifinals for the region. And then the
Whoa.
other is Witch King on Witch King.
Whoa.
Wow,
I like it.
is manifest.
Twilight.
I love that.
We're just making it as hard on the audience as we possibly can.
Right?
Uh,
That's a tough call.
Okay, I think Merry versus Pippin is as hard as you can.
I know.
Or Aragorn versus Elisar, or Strider versus Elisar. I mean,
Yeah.
This round of 16 is going to be really, really hard for people.
Tough round. Wait till you see the next one. Elves.
Yeah, the
gosh,
elves.
yes, elves.
this-
Oh my.
Is this our final division?
Yes, this is the final division. So in the first round, we had Galadriel against Elrond in armor, so kind of Hobbit Elrond. And
Yeah.
Galadriel came through,
Okay.
64% of the vote. And then we had Arwen against her grandmother in Galadriel's Hobbit version versus the bridge dress, the white dress, which is kind of hard to find a picture of. I'm finding. If anybody's got a great picture of it, that'd be great. And Arwen was the victor in that first round, which meant that the next round was another grandmother,
All right. Yes.
granddaughter matchup.
Oh my goodness, such
All right.
beautiful costumes.
And Galadriel has to win that one.
I mean, we said this in our first discussion of this whole contest of Middle-earth, but to me, that Galadriel dress was the one on the first viewings of the movies that stood out to me as, man, I would like to wear that dress. You know, it just kind of leaps out at you as the most spectacular.
Well, plus, if you go in knowing who Galadriel is, and even if you don't, and you're just hearing what they're saying about her as they're walking through Lothlorien before they meet her, when you see that dress for the first time, it's the perfect dress for this mystical, powerful elf woman that you've been hearing about. And she the dress just embodied that character. So it just was a perfect melding of design and character.
That's gonna be a tough round.
Yeah. One of the fun things about the Galadriel dress is that people can cosplay it. Like there's a kind of 0 to 50, you can cosplay it in a very simple way, or you can go the whole hog and fully hand bead the whole thing. And I've seen the full range. I've seen people in a fairly simple white dress and they look gorgeous. And I've seen people in an absolutely stunning hand beaded dress and they look gorgeous. And I think it's kind of cool that there's a flexibility to that when you're cosplaying it.
Yeah, you just need the silhouette. You just need the basic shape and the basic color scheme, and that's one of the ways you can identify the costumes. It's just silhouette.
This was also a white dress on white dress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Middle-earth wedding dress inspiration.
Quite a lot. I will vote for the Lady Galadriel because it shows up on the dolls. It shows up on the toys. It shows up on the posters and the merchandise. But the Arwen dress, which I playfully refer to as the Enya dress, that you don't see on the dolls. When all the Arwens I've ever seen have been Coronation Barbie and Ken, and a lot of Arwen figures in her hunting garb, the riding garb, but not that. So I'm going to go with Galadriel.
Yeah. So, and both Arwen and Galadriel have multiple entries in the elves.
Yeah. So we're probably going to have this battle again.
Okay.
So Galadriel was indeed the one.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Came through. Well, here we have it. Speaking of,
okay.
We had wedding coronation Arwen
key lime pie.
That's right. Up against the Dark Queen, also in Lothlorien, but transformed by the potential power of the ring.
With like breastplate armor, like a full piece of armor on her. Yes.
But Arwen Coronation was the winner of that matchup, 65.
Very popular.
And then we had another Arwen. Arwen in her, I guess that's affectionately the red and blue dress.
This is the Charwin dress.
The red dress. I've always heard it called the blood red dress.
The reading dress.
Up against a ready for combat Toriel. And in fact, Arwen in her red dress did win that region, which sets up Arwen against Arwen.
Oh my goodness.
Gosh, don't do this to me, people. Don't do this to me.
And I'm going for the Charwin dress.
I think the Charwin dress, yeah.
I did submit a picture or two with Charwin.
But you know what I love about the coronation?
For anyone who doesn't know who Charwin is, there's Charwin.
Right there in the middle.
costume of the coronation includes that spectacular beaded headpiece.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, and it's a butterfly motif on the back. I mean, I've seen, yeah.
You know,
That kind of pushed it over the edge for me. That
you're right.
beading.
And I think you're right, Kirsten, because that I have seen replicated many, many times. Maybe not necessarily the dress, but that headdresses. Yes.
Yeah. The headdress is spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the sleeves on this. This was for a dress that wasn't worn very long. It's a spectacular dress.
This is a tough call.
What do you think people voted for?
I think people may have voted for the red and violet dress, or rather I should call it red and indigo. Even if I go to the public library, for 20 years ago, it said read, and it was like a pro-literacy poster, and it was Arwen in the. That's why I always refer to it as her reading dress.
Well, part of that
saw her in every library in that.
Part
dress.
of that is the coloring. She has just that beautiful skin. She has that beautiful hair, and then you have a very strong color. Whereas the green dress, it doesn't do as well with her coloring. But I would say I kind of think the green dress, in taking it in total with the headdress and everything, is probably a more complex costume.
Yeah.
Well, Arthur in the chats reckons red dress. He reckons that's what people voted for.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Yeah, you're right. It was in those read posters.
Because she was in that scene. That's the scene where she's reading the book and it falls.
Yeah, and you've got a Frodo when he's reading, and you've got Gandalf when he's in Gondor reading. Those were the three read posters.
Well, I'll tell you, Arwen wins this round.
Oh wow! I'm so relieved.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
So Arwen and her red and blue, or indigo. And then we had in round one, Arwen dream dress in purple against Thranduil on his.
And of course.
Of course.
There's no doubt about that one.
Look at that.
Oh, the GIF is great.
Lee Pace made it. It just made it. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And then we had in the other round one, Legolas Greenleaf in his fellowship outfit against Figwit, Brett McKenzie, before he was even a named actor.
Well, Kirsten, Green Dragon was part of that original Figwit stuff, right? Because you met all those folks up at Edinburgh.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I'm looking at a poster on the wall across from me behind my computer that Brett signed, saying, "Remember us on Arthur's Seat," because we climbed Arthur's Seat in Edinburgh. But poor Figwit. I mean, as great as Figwit is, how could he possibly stand any chance against Legolas?
And so Legolas won round one with 87% of the vote, one of the highest.
Yeah.
Not surprising.
Yeah.
Which sets
not surprising.
Father and son.
Well, and the thing that's so interesting, particularly with that GIF that you had, that just the way that Lee Pace and this cloak, the fact that he was in that movie, The Fall, which was nothing but full of weird and wacky and elaborate costumes. It's like, I think it was almost like he was typecast. Like, we want a king who's going to be able to walk in France on Pret-a-Porter or something like that, walk the runways, and he can do it. And he's done it most of his career.
This is, these are amazing. Just look at that.
Look at the crowns.
Just great.
Like sassy 70s Thranduil.
That was Kathleen when she came to one of our dance parties.
Yep.
That's awesome.
It well. But no, there's some really spectacular costumes here. So what do you think? How do people vote?
Oh, actually, Chris, I wanted to highlight this one in particular. Josh Stewart has also been a Dragon Con. He not that long, but he's dominated in so many different cosplay categories. It's not just Lord of the Rings, but so much so that he and Lee Pace are currently, I guess, buddies now too. So.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Yeah, I go ahead, Cliff.
This is a
I
coin
don't-
toss, man.
I've got to say it's so difficult, but Legolas has dominated the stage in our imagination for so many years, longer than Thranduil has.
Mhm.
But Thranduil takes the cake.
Yeah,
That's an incredible
He's like-
costume.
The minute we saw what he was going to look like, the cosplayers just went nuts for his costumes.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Look,
And I'm
well,
sorry to interrupt.
I think an interesting question here is we know in the past that our pretty elf boys have often won in March Madness because the fans rally to them. And we have been trying to remind people that this is about costumes. It's not about who's your favorite. It's about costumes. So I think you're absolutely right, Cliff, that if people were voting on costumes here, Thranduil has that's so spectacular.
Mhm.
If people were voting with their hearts and not about the costumes, would Legolas take it?
I don't know. Lee Pace is really popular.
Mhm.
It's kind of like, who Orlando versus Lee versus, Brando versus
And
Legolas.
look, even in our staff voting before we set up the bracket, Thranduil got more votes. He was the third seed, where Legolas was the sixth seed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
And it's because the costumes are so spectacular.
what did the fans say? Well, I think
Yeah.
they voted with their hearts.
Yeah.
Hey, wow. There you go.
Comes through and passes on to-
Utilitarian, the utilitarian costume. Wow.
Here was our last matchup.
This was a
I'm
tough
sure
one,
you've seen
too.
The latest one, because this one was actually one of the tightest ones when we were comparing before the polls closed. I assume the results lasted. This was going to be. Oh, this was round one. Sorry.
Yeah, this is round one.
And
Haldir won.
Haldir in his
Hey.
armor, back to armor, came through there.
Mhm.
Yep.
And then we had Arwen in her hunting or chase dress against classic Elrond in Rivendell.
Mhm.
And Arwen won that one.
Oh my goodness.
Closest
By
vote.
11 votes.
11 votes. Wow. Every
So
vote
that's-
counts.
So that set up this contest,
Whew.
which was
Okay.
also,
Oh, dear.
when we checked in earlier today, it was also one of the closest ones
Wow.
that was happening in round two.
Well,
I remember when Two Towers came out, there was this huge outcry because Haldir died. And people were like, Haldir can't die. How can Haldir die? Haldir can't die. We were like, of course he didn't die. He didn't go to Helm's Deep. But in the movie, he did. But,
Oh my goodness. Look at that. Wow.
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
My elf queen. She's awesome. And Danielle, yep.
Oof. So good. So many great costumes for both. Wow.
I'm gonna vote for Haldir because Craig won't forgive me if I do otherwise. So
Yeah. I kind of think from a costume point of view, it's much more complex. I kind of have a feeling Arwen's going to be pretty popular.
yeah, it's true. But the technical approach is really what I'm mindful of.
Yes.
I can't. I'm looking at these three people, and then I'm looking at those three people, and I'm thinking, I love you all. You've done amazing work, but I know who worked harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Look at the patterning on the armor. I mean, even with the cosplay, you can see the patterning on the metal.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
These guys did fabulous work.
So wonderful. Yeah. It's a tough call because this, it has to drape so well. The Arwen costume just has to really drape well, and just, doing that with fabric is really tough. So I don't know.
Before we release the winner, I'll say both of these characters are very interesting because in the Peter Jackson version of these characters, both of them are facing mortality. There's that, of course, Arwen is facing her mortality because she gives her immortality away. But at the death scene where Haldir is dead, there's this tragic and very specific moment where Peter is underscoring how confused Haldir is looking at all the death around him because it's such an alien thing to a person who has lived thousands of years. And I assume Haldir has done so. So, I'm also kind of roped into this character with Haldir, and I'm still going to vote for him. I think, yeah.
Well, you ready for the reveal?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, go for it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Arwen.
But it was
Favorite.
less than 2% in it. It was a very, very tight one. It was really. I
Wow.
thought Alfred was going to squeak through there, but he didn't.
Wow, that's surprising. Cool. Very cool.
So here are the final pairings in round 3, the final 4 for the Elves round. Arwen
Wow.
and Galadriel, mom and grandmom again,
Mhm.
in their iconic outfits,
mm-hmm.
and Legolas and Arwen
Mm.
Wow.
off to the hunt.
Classic.
Yeah, and they're both in their wood, well, he's in woodland, of course, but she's also sort of in woodland because she's out riding, and so therefore, yeah, she's in her
Wow.
green.
Wow.
I'm going to
Impressive.
put this out there. I think Galadriel is going to go all the way and be the grand champion.
Oh, there you go.
Throwing it out there. I do. I
Uh-oh.
agree, person. I think Galadriel comes out of this region at least.
You
Yeah,
think?
I think Galadriel moves on for the elves, to the final 4.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for the Balrog in the villains category.
Oh my gosh! What if the final is the Balrog versus Galadriel? Who would
Oh my
win?
goodness.
I hope we get something that epic. Who knows? But wow, what a great experience to get down to our Sweet 16 now.
Mm-hmm.
Or are we definitely at 16 or are we at 8 now?
No,
we're
we're
16.
We're
16, right?
We're at 16. So yeah, just
Four in
to
each
review,
bracket.
humans and Maiars, it's Éomer against Boromir.
Mm.
Coronation Aragorn against Strider.
Well, we know the Witch King is going to make it to the round of 8.
Think so?
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm
true.
pretty sure
One
the
way or
Witch King,
another. That's
because
true.
there's 2 of them.
So who comes out of the villains category? Given the final 4 there, is it?
I like the Balrog,
Okay?
but that's
Me
just me.
too. But
I'm
surprise.
like freaking out because you got Merry and Pippin going against each other.
Yeah, this next round I think is going to be brutal.
It's gonna blow people's brains. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that one, Thorin and Gimli. I mean,
Yeah.
Theoden. Wait.
I wonder.
Eomer and Boromir. Okay.
Yeah.
And
I
then
wonder if,
Aragorn versus Aragorn.
I think it's Aragorn, Strider, Thorin, Galadriel, and the Return of the King, Witch King. That's my final 4.
So what do you think, Clef?
Oh my gosh! Can we bring the Oliphant back? No, I'm kidding.
No, go
I'm
for the
totally
Balrog.
kidding. I'm totally kidding. I would say our final 4 might be, Galadriel and Balrog, and I might even say that Pippin in his younger Faramir armor might be so sentimental, especially because Billy Boyd sings that song while he's in that costume. There's something about that. So I'm going to throw a
Plus,
stick
he
out into the...
sings the end of Battle of the
Yeah.
5 Armies. He
Yep,
also.
yep.
Yep.
That's true. I'm going to put a stick in the wind for Pippin. But out of the human Maiar category, I'm lost. I don't know who to choose.
I can't get past the round of 8, because I think this Sweet 16 round right now is just going to be tough. And
Mhm.
I think I need to see the results from Sweet 16 to even think about Final 4.
So can we remind our audience of the voting process and the amount of time they have?
I have just clicked publish on WordPress. So the homepage story has just gone up. So if you go to the onering.net, you can vote there now.
Right now? You mean voting's open now? Wow.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. We decided we would put it up there now.
That's great.
I've missed a few people on Facebook commenting that the survey doesn't show up for them. And I have a feeling that is in certain browsers it's not showing up. So if you're struggling, use Chrome as your browser and then you won't have a problem. Because I assure you, when you go to the homepage and you go to the article, we recap. You guys don't need it because you've watched the show tonight, but we recap the previous battles and percentages and results. And then you can vote for the Sweet 16 round. And the survey is at the bottom of the article. So if you're having trouble seeing that survey, try opening a different internet browser. And
I found it was on Continue to Read. I had to click a link to continue to read, and then I could
Well,
see.
you do with long articles. That's just
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
just-
yeah.
Mhm.
So that voting is open now, and it closes on Tuesday. And on Torn Tuesday, Cliff will be back with you. Justin will be back, as he always is, behind the scenes and possibly on screen. And then whoever else from staff can join will be there on Tuesday evening to reveal the winners of the Sweet 16 and to look at the final 8, the hateful 8.
Elite 8.
Can we send an email to Nyla Dixon and have her come and join us for the finals? I think she should join us on the show.
Because there's only one costume that she didn't design, and that would be.
I would say the final 4, we need her. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's call out. Let's do it. Hey, Nyla, come join us.
Did she design the Balrog, or was that Richard Taylor?
That would be, yeah. Well, okay.
Would be the digital guys.
Uh-huh. But this is so much fun. Thank you, Kirsten, for posting that story. And to everybody who's watching us right now, run and vote. Let's do it. This is exciting.
Yay.
Hey,
Jim,
thanks everybody.
for the presentation. Really appreciate it. And Justin, behind the scenes, thanks as ever for all your tech prowess. And thanks everybody watching and playing along.
That's lovely. And it's lovely we didn't do a 3-hour show this time. We actually
We had half as many costumes.
That's true. Hey, Jim, thank you so much. So good of
Great
you to
job.
run the slideshow and great stuff. And wow, you guys are so awesome to be here with us. And the audience, thank you, audience around the world, for coming to join us for all this mischief. It needed to be managed, and I think we're doing it. We're doing quite well. It's great.
Thanks for staying up, Kirsten.
Mismanaged, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bedtime for me now for sure.
Go to bed, Kirsten.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Easter.
All
Yes,
right, guys. Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter to all. Everybody stay safe and stay well. And we're going to be getting together this coming Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Be sure to join us, and all the details at theonering.net. Go right to our main page or find us on our socials. So signing off, thank you to everybody again for being with us, and our panelists and everybody. Take good care, good night, and good luck. Or as I like to say, buenas noches y buena suerte. Bye.